Welcome to the MC3 Executive Podcast. In this episode, we're exploring the MC3 Clarity Framework. One of the biggest myths in leadership is that clarity comes from providing more information. It doesn't. Clarity is not the amount of information a leader provides. Clarity is the emotional experience a message creates. In global organizations, leaders often assume that accurate words automatically create understanding. But accuracy and clarity are not the same thing. People respond not only to what is said, but to what they believe sits behind the message. They interpret intent, pressure, urgency, priorities, and risk. When those signals are unclear, meaning begins to drift. The MC3 Clarity Framework was designed to prevent that drift. It consists of four simple elements: intent, context, boundaries, and interpretation. Together, these four elements help leaders stabilize meaning before the organization begins to interpret it. Let's begin with intent. Intent is the emotional center of every message. Many leaders assume their intention is obvious. Unfortunately, teams often interpret intentions through local experience, culture, pressure, and organizational history. Without clear intent, people fill in the gaps themselves. A leader who says, "My intent is to understand the issue, not assign blame," creates a very different emotional response from a leader who simply starts asking questions. Intent provides the emotional coordinates for everything that follows. Next comes context. Context answers a question that exists in almost every organization. Why now? When context is missing, people create their own explanations. A routine review may feel like an investigation. A question may feel like criticism. Silence may feel like avoidance. Context prevents unnecessary assumptions. A simple statement such as, "We've received 2 inconsistent customer reports, so we're reviewing communication flow," helps people understand why the conversation is taking place. Context does not require lengthy explanations. It simply provides orientation. The third element is boundaries. Many communication problems occur not because people misunderstand instructions, but because they interpret freedom differently. One team moves too quickly. Another becomes overly cautious. Another escalates unnecessarily. Boundaries define what can change and what must remain stable. For example, the timeline is flexible. The customer commitment is not. Or, you may adapt locally, but the core message must remain unchanged. Boundaries create confidence because people know where they can act safely. The final element is interpretation. This is often the most overlooked part of communication. A message does not exist in the leader's mind. It exists in the interpretation of the receiver. Instead of asking, "Does that make sense?" effective leaders ask, "How does this land where you are?" That question uncovers assumptions, concerns, cultural differences, and early signs of misalignment. It turns communication from transmission into calibration. When these four elements are used together, communication becomes more predictable. Intent creates direction. Context creates understanding. Boundaries create stability. Interpretation creates alignment. The result is not simply better communication. The result is greater organizational coherence. Consider this message. Make sure the issue doesn't happen again. It's clear enough on the surface, but open to multiple interpretations. Now apply the MC3 Clarity Framework. Intent. I want to prevent recurrence without assigning blame. Context. This issue surfaced because of a gap in our handover process. Boundaries. Focus on strengthening the process upstream. No major redesign is required. Interpretation. Tell me how you're reading this so I understand what prevention means in your region. The final message becomes, I want to prevent recurrence by tightening the upstream handover. This is a stabilization, not a redesign. How does this land for your team? Notice the difference. The instruction remains simple. but the meaning becomes significantly more stable. This week, choose one important conversation and apply the 4 elements of the MC3 Clarity Framework. Intent, context, boundaries, interpretation. Because leadership is not about delivering messages. Leadership is about shaping understanding. Thank you for listening to the MC3 Executive Podcast.